In my last video, I told you all about the annuals that I'm growing for 2026. And as promised, today I'm back for the perennials I'm growing in 2026. So this is my 2026 perennial crop plan. In this video, I might not cover every single perennial on my farm, but I'm covering most of them, all the strategic big ones for sure. And I don't think I'm going to be adding very many new ones to my farm in 2026. I am adding more of some of the same, and I'm getting rid of some, at least one. In 2026, at least half of my production is between woodies and perennials, and it's growing. That number is growing, and I'm getting less and less annuals and getting more perennials and woody shrubs. So this video is not going to be about woody shrubs, but about the perennials, and that has definitely been something that I leaned more and more into as my farm has grown. I'm Ruth Ann from Abundant Blooms Flower Farm. This is my 7th year of flower farming, which is crazy. And I initially started in 2020 with completely annuals, and I've shifted more and more heavily into perennials. And there's lots of reasons why that is. So just very briefly, perennials are more weather resistant. They're more drought resistant to a point, right? They fill in a really great gap here between when your spring bulbs bloom and your first summer annuals bloom. So there's like perennials that fill that gap really well and really help. And then there's also just some really robust, great perennials to grow. And they can really give you a lot of stems and a lot of production for less labor. Now, I'm not saying perennials equal less labor, but they can help spread out the labor also, because you're not having to start them from seed every year. Yes, sometimes you do have to dig and divide them. Sometimes you don't. Like a peony, you never have to dig and divide and can literally be there for 100 years, and you don't have to divide it or move it or anything like that. But another thing to think about with perennials is they take real estate up 12 months out of the year. So they do have to really earn their keep, because, you know, you're not being able to utilize that space. Typically, sometimes you can crop, intercrop, but typically they're taking up the whole entire space for the whole 12 months of the year. So they got to be really robust as far as that's concerned. I think perennials have a really, really important space on my farm. There's some really great ones on this list. I should probably do a whole video about why perennials, but let's just stick with the plan for right now. It's actually really cold out here. I just went to take a drink of my water, and my water bottle was like almost frozen shut. I could barely open it. Perennials, I think that they're really great for lots of reasons, including growing foliage. So much like my annual video, I'm actually going to just be breaking this down into sections. So I'm just going to do it seasonally. So I'm going to start with like spring, then go into summer, late summer, and what I'm calling fall, which is like September and October. Kind of fall. I think that's a helpful way to think about perennials. Yes, some of them you can, get a reflush from, or they'll come back, but I'm kind of going to go in order of bloom time. So we're going to start with spring, trying to go kind of in order of when they bloom. The first one would be my daffodils. So they bloom first, and so those are bulbs. Unlike a lot of other perennials, you actually can plant over top of them later in the summer once they die back. So I do actually utilize that bed again. Okay, another great one in the spring is lamb's ear. I started this lamb's ear from seed probably, 5 or 6 years ago, and I didn't plant it for my cut flower farm. Actually, I just planted it because I was planting this pollinator perennial area on the corner of my garden, and I just thought it'd be pretty, and it actually spreads like absolute wild crazy. It spreads really a lot. So I actually have a ton of it now, and for about 3 weeks in the spring, it really has really nice spikes, and the florists love them. And I mean, it's like earlier than almost any flower, so I highly recommend that. Another one in this category is Baptisia. So that would, like, at this point in the season, the flowers would be the spikes you would sell. I also sell that for foliage all summer long, but the flower spikes are in spring. And then of course peonies are like a late spring for me, like a June flower. And then another one I have in here is Nepeta. So that's kind of the same thing. So catmint, that's the same as like the lamb's ear. So I planted at the same time as the lamb's ear in this perennial area on my farm. For like 2 or 3 weeks, it has this beautiful cut stage, and my florists really like it. So I don't sell that in large quantities, but if you have something in your landscaping that you have enough of, I can sell like 5 to 7 bunches of it for a couple of weeks. And then, it's not my highest, selling flower, but it does give me an extra $300 or $400 in sales over a couple of weeks. And it's very easy. I don't really do anything to it except cut it back in the fall. I don't really water it. I don't fertilize it, so it's just there and I can make $300 or $400 off of it. So I consider that a win. Another one in this group is Delphinium starts to bloom around this time. It can also rebloom, but it's a good spring bloomer. Great spike. Another early bloomer, doesn't really bloom, it's Solomon seal. So that is a really great spring foliage. It comes like bursting out of the ground in April and May, and it's ready to cut typically in mid to late May here. And it's just a really, really phenomenal, it's so beautiful foliage, and so it comes at a really great time when there's not a lot of other stuff, and the florists really love it. Next is Yarrow. I love Yarrow. It's one of my favorites, one of my top sellers. It's one of my favorite flowers, and it just comes on in full force in June. A couple other in this list, they're relatively young, but they are on my farm. One of them is Lupine. I just planted some Lupine this past fall actually, but I'm hoping to add that as just an early spike as well. Next is Geum. This I've actually never harvested and sold, so we'll see how it goes, but I do have a bit of that planted and I have heard really great things about it, so I'm hoping that it does really well. Next is Eremurus. Eremurus is very expensive to buy. Very expensive. It's actually right behind me. It's over there under the snow. The roots are very expensive, but they put up these humongous spikes in June, kind of like around peony time, and you just cut them at the ground and you can sell them for like $5 a stem, and they're huge and everybody really wants them. They're really big for design work, so it's definitely a wedding and event flower. If you're selling retail, this is not the flower for you, but if you're selling to wedding and event florists, they're very difficult to get locally, almost impossible, and they're very expensive to buy, like wholesale coming out of California. My florists were really excited that I'm growing it. I grew some this year and I added more this fall. Definitely an investment. But I'm really excited about that. To me, those are the perennials that set me apart and make my farm unique, and they are very profitable. And in my understanding from other perennial growers, like they'll continue to put up more and more stems and really be a profitable crop. Not something I would invest in when you're early on in your flower farming journey though. Okay, moving on to kind of more summertime. I was just going to jump right in with Thornless, blackberry, and raspberry greens. Those are more of like a late June by the time you're able to cut them. But then as long as they're tall enough, you can pretty much keep cutting them the entire season all the way till frost. Amazing flower for a cut flower farm. Okay, it's not a flower. Amazing foliage for a cut flower farm. I heard people talk about it. I've heard all kinds of flower farmers talk about it. I finally chose to invest in it, and I can't wait to get more of it. I mean, like a lot more of it. Stay tuned. I will be doing a video about that completely on its own video soon. The next one in this list is Baptisia foliage. So we had the Baptisia spikes in the spring, early spring, like May. Now we're late June, July. We're getting the foliages mature, and we're able to cut the foliage and sell it the entire rest of the summer. Pretty much. Toward the very end, certain varieties start to look tired, but I sell this foliage all summer. The florists love it, and it's such a valuable perennial because I'm able to utilize it for its spikes, its long harvest window of foliage, and then you can even sell the pods at the end of the season. So if a perennial can give you multiple types of sales, it can be really valuable. So it definitely earns its spot. Like, it is producing and selling all summer long. Next, I have Phlox. So this is a perennial Phlox. I have a couple varieties that I really like, and I have one variety I don't like and I'm taking out of my farm. But I really like the white David, and then there's Party Girl and Fancy Girl, and one of those I don't like, and I can't remember which one. Next on this list is mint, mountain mint, and mint. So common mint is crazy, and I have a section of it, and I do harvest it. People really do like it. I wouldn't say I sell that in like massive amounts, but if you have it, it's something great to sell to. Florists really do like it for the scent. Like I had one that wanted a whole bunch of it for a wedding this summer. So moving right along. So mountain mint, I actually have two different varieties of mountain mint. This is such a great foliage. If you notice a theme here, foliages, foliages, foliages. So it's a really great foliage. I think it really earns its keep. It's super easy to to grow. It spreads, but not much. It's not like common mint at all. So I have 2 different varieties of mountain mint, and I like them both. Next one on this list is Eucalyptus, which I have in my high tunnel because it's not hardy to my zone. So that's in my tunnel. Moving right along, I have kind of in the late summer category here. So this, I have triloba. I just have a reblooming patch of triloba. I probably could have a whole row of it, and I wish I had more of it, but right now I just have this small reblooming section that kind of self-seeds. Reblooming, I mean self-seeding, like, yeah. And I like it. So it's really great. Very easy. It's kind of doing its own thing. So that's great. But like I said, I wish I had more of it. Sedum. I have a couple different kinds of sedum, so that I definitely consider like a late summer because you can start to sell it in the green stage, which is awesome. And then it's great once it starts to turn. Also sells really great. So that one sold really well for me. I added another variety of sedum. I think I just have autumn joy right now, and I added a darker variety. And you can propagate it yourself. So I have a row of it, and every year I just kind of kept propagating it, and I find it gets better like when it's 1 or 2 years old. Very easy to grow, doesn't like to be fertilized, really doesn't like to be watered. I mean, it's really easy. Okay, the next one I really like. So this is a fall bloomer, like September, October. And that's Japanese anemones. And I just think they're really stunning, and they kind of look like a cosmos. And anyway, my florists really like them. I mean, they're like obsessed with them, and everybody wants them. Mine are still pretty young, so I'm excited because this 2026 will be its third. Some of them will be in their 3rd year. I added more last year, and I added more this fall too. So I keep expanding that perennial as well. It's really sought after. It seems like people are really looking for it, and they can't find it. So I'm trying to grow more of it. Okay, the last 2 I have are brand new ones that I've never had producing. So I just kind of put them in this bottom category. So that's clematis, which I have here on this trellis. I planted it last winter. I'm really looking for a vine, so I hope that this is a good choice. But I know there's definitely a demand for it. My wedding and event florists are really looking for it. So. And the last one is penstemon. I don't know that I should have bought this, but I was trying to fill a box and I didn't want to spend more money on something else, so I bought penstemon. So we'll see how that one goes. And then one more is astilbe. So I planted some astilbe last spring, and I'm really excited about that one because I have a lot of demand for astilbe, and so I'm hoping to be able to lean into those sales as well. So I hope that gives you some inspiration for your farm. I certainly have not grown every perennial out there by any means. I think I failed to mention I'm in Michigan in zone 6A, so obviously I'm growing perennials that are hardy to my zone, so that obviously is a factor into what perennials that I even am able to grow. So I hope that helps you think about some perennials that you can add to your farm. Look them up for inspiration. Let me know your favorite perennials. I'm always, intrigued at what might be a good additional perennial to add to my farm. So I'd love to know some of your favorites. And if you enjoyed this video, if you haven't watched the annuals that I'm growing in 2026, go check that video out. I've gotten a lot of really great feedback on that. And I hope you're warm because I'm freezing actually. So I'm going to go get some tea, and I'll see you in the next video.